Minimalist branding has reached Hollywood, but not where it was actually needed. This design trend, which focuses on simplifying everything to achieve a cleaner look, has already taken over car brands, the food industry, social media, sports logos, and even film studios themselves. And while I'm not a graphic designer, I think we can all agree that if we look back at classic movie posters, we find true works of art. Jaws, Pulp Fiction, Alien, The Exorcist, E.T. And now, we have this. Today, an overcrowded movie poster seems to be the industry standard. So in this video, we're going to analyze this phenomenon. What changed, why it changed, and how we went from iconic artwork to generic designs. We'll also compare some of the best posters from the past with today's styles and break down the 3 most overused poster formulas. Because the same force that ruined logos is now ruining movie posters. Types of modern movie posters. The template poster. This is a typical design concept where you simply swap the actors and the movie title, and it's done. Same colors, same composition, same proportions. Within this category, there are several sub-styles, but the most common is the protagonist seen from behind, facing a celestial or epic background. A single character striking a supposedly powerful pose, backlit, surrounded by glowing light that gives them an almost heroic aura. There are hundreds of examples, so many that we couldn't fit them all into one video. Some are better than others, but the template is unmistakable. In the romantic comedy genre, we find another extremely repetitive style. Back to back. Usually a man and a woman standing in the same pose, facing the camera against a generic background. It's such a cliché that we barely even notice it anymore. And the examples are endless. Some of them shockingly bad. So bad, it's hard to believe these posters went through an actual design and approval process. A perfect example is 2 Weeks' Notice, where the characters literally look like they're floating in water. And the third type in this category, most commonly used in action movies, is the diagonal text across the poster or slicing it in half, combined with the infamous blue and orange color palette that seems permanently tied to the genre. And yes, there are countless examples of this one too. The second category of posters is the floating heads design. This type of layout was usually associated with Marvel superhero movies, but lately it has spread to almost every genre. The logic behind it seems to be that size equals importance. Major characters are shown with larger heads or figures, while secondary characters are barely visible and appear to be included only because their contracts require them to appear on the poster as a design condition. As a result, these posters feel extremely overcrowded. We can see this approach in franchises like Dune, Terminator, Harry Potter, and Fast and Furious. And when a second or third installment comes along, it gets even worse, because more characters need to be added. The poster for the first Dune film used muted colors and focused on the main protagonists. By the second installment, the tone shifted and the number of floating heads increased significantly. This style has even made its way into TV series. Take Stranger Things as a recent example. The first season had very strong posters, but as the cast expanded, they fell into the same idea. Floating heads, larger for the most important characters, smaller for supporting roles. We could spend all day analyzing examples of this style. Star Wars, X-Men, Avengers, Indiana Jones. As always, some are better than others, but the aesthetic shift in long-running franchises from the 1980s is undeniable, especially in cases like Star Wars and Indiana Jones. In the third category are posters that are simply hard to classify. These are the ones that tried to innovate and break away from the mold but failed in the process, either due to lack of talent or plain laziness. Take the case of X-Men First Class. It's incredible that someone approved this, and yes, it is the official poster. You can find the source in the description. Official posters. One important thing to clarify about how the poster system works is that there are usually at least 4 different designs for the same movie. However, what has become most normalized today is that the following are approved. A teaser poster, released very early, long before the premiere date, usually featuring the classic tagline, "Coming soon." The main poster or theatrical poster, the one typically printed in physical formats and used in theater displays. Character posters, one per actor, a methodology mainly used in the superhero genre. International posters, by region, in Eastern markets like China or Japan, they often change to adapt to local typography and tastes. Streaming versions, usually designed in a more vertical format and focused on digital platforms. They tend to include as many characters as possible. Sometimes an alternative key art, the last hope and salvation of creative design. These are usually approved by the studio but do not replace the main poster. They are often created by independent artists and used for film festivals like Cannes or Venice. They have more personality and are mainly promoted on social media. And finally, the IMAX poster, tied to the popular large format experience mostly used for big productions. Going back to simply ugly posters, we have examples like Street Kings, the Keanu Reeves-led film, with a truly awful and amateur-looking design, so careless that they even missed the detail of Keanu's finger on the trigger. There are also more recent designs that are questionable, not because they are ugly, but because they could have been much better. Let's compare recent sequels with their predecessors. Whether you like them more or less is subjective, but let's focus on creativity, modern tools, and originality. Tron, Beetlejuice, Independence Day, Blade Runner, Alien, 28 years later, The Exorcist. And speaking of the horror genre, it has always been a challenge to convey fear in a single image while preserving mystery through creative design. The alternative key art for The Conjuring Last Rites presents a much more terrifying design than its streaming version, without a doubt. To understand why we no longer get great works of art today, we need to understand that the design process shifted from being led by great illustrators to being controlled by marketing departments. There's no room anymore to take risks with original designs. Everything is measured by numbers. That's why Hollywood no longer designs posters. It designs digital marketing products. In the past, a poster didn't need to show the protagonist's face. It could suggest a story, express a promise, create a visual identity that made it stand out. Today, a poster must have readable typography, generic colors, the actors' faces, and an entire committee of executives shutting down risky ideas. Branding in Hollywood is here to stay, and posters are becoming less and less original, not because talent is missing, but because it isn't allowed to exist. In the 1970s, a select group of illustrators earned well-deserved fame by designing some of the most beautiful and recognizable movie posters in film history. These artists were hired by studios and had enough creative freedom to take risks with designs that would become iconic. Drew Struzan, often called the GOAT of movie posters, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, Blade Runner, had a human, epic, and narrative visual style. For the return of Star Wars in 2015, he proposed conceptual designs that were never used commercially. After his passing in 2025, those versions resurfaced and went viral as a tribute to his legacy and work on the saga. Saul Bass offered minimalism with Soul, Psycho, Vertigo, The Man with the Golden Arm, Schindler's List, The Shining, with pure conceptual design. He didn't just create movie posters, he also designed logos for major companies we still know today, like Hanna-Barbera, AT&T, and United Airlines. Bob Peak brought energy, color, and movement. Apocalypse Now, Superman, My Fair Lady, Rollerball, The Wiz, Star Trek. Richard Amsel was a genius of extreme detail. Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Sting, Chinatown, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, and also painted portraits of many stars for TV Guide. John Alvin was the illustrator of emotion and spectacle. E.T., Blade Runner, Cape Fear, The Lion King, The Little Mermaid, Batman Returns, Phantom of the Paradise, Leviathan, Jurassic Park, Predator. I don't think there's a lack of talent today. It's simply not allowed to be applied. You could easily make an entire video comparing and analyzing posters from a personal perspective. You don't need to be a graphic design expert to say whether one poster is more beautiful than another. The truth is that visual identity has been lost. As a kid, I remember having an Alien poster in my bedroom, the classic image of Ellen Ripley face to face with the xenomorph. And it was terrifying yet hypnotic. That culture of collecting posters seems to be fading in a world where everything is digital, but also far more forgettable. And now I'd like to know your opinion. What do you think of modern movie posters? If you had to choose one physical poster to hang in your room, which one would it be? Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.